Foundation and a visiting fellow of the Independent Women's Forum. Thanks so much, Kelsey, for being here. So,
good morning.
What do you make of Anna Wintour's comments? First of all, I actually found it quite refreshing that she was willing to admit that, listen, we're not trying to be equal opportunity here. We are taking a stand and we are elevating those women who we feel represents things that we agree with.
Absolutely. On one hand, I completely agree with you. It's nice for her to come clean and tell us what their magazine is really about and who their magazine is really for. And that, of course, is for liberal women, not conservative women. And I think that's why it makes it so satisfying when you hear Melania Trump stand up for herself, because she knows that when she stands up to herself, to Anna Wintour and Vogue, she's not just standing up for herself, she's standing up for all conservative women who are constantly facing this type of rhetoric from magazines, where constantly our perspectives are being ignored and overlooked and not represented. And look, they are a private business. They can run their magazine however they want. But, you know, it is time for them to come clean and tell us who they're for. And again, that doesn't appear to be conservative women.
We've seen this repeatedly, right? We've seen Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, AOC, Representative, Ilhan Omar. Many Democrats constantly being elevated by many different types of magazines. And my question to you is, does that make a difference? Is it important? Because then women all over the country go to these magazines, Glamour, Vogue, whatever it may be, and they see that those are the people that they are supposed to be looking up to as models of behavior, as role models, as examples of exemplary first ladies. What do you think the impact is? Is their agenda successful, in other words?
Unfortunately, to an extent, I do think the agenda is successful, because there are a lot of young girls and women who pick up these magazines and don't see the politics behind it. I think as women get older and they start to see the truth about how these magazines are handling different political perspectives, these magazines start exposing themselves for the political hacks they are. Women start to, realize that these magazines aren't representative of them, and they're probably not worth their time or money spending reading them or visiting them online.
What's your advice to conservative women out there who see this double standard and get enraged? My advice is always that don't buy the magazines, because your pocketbook will speak volumes. Do you have any advice of how to sort of deal with this when you feel like, wow, this is just odds are stacked against you from second one?
Absolutely. Don't buy the magazine. Also, let's not play victim here. Conservative women aren't victims. We are women in the freest country in the world. We have every opportunity to succeed and make our voices heard. Let's get creative and find a way to get our message out there instead of just complaining about the many ways that our perspectives are being overlooked and ignored.
I agree with you about that victim comment, but I do think it's very hard when you are, for example, a Sarah Palin who came out and was picked on from top to bottom, everything she said, and was immediately dissected from second one, as opposed to someone on the left who may be immediately elevated. You do have the odds stacked against you. It is a tougher battle. I think we have to be realistic about acknowledging that as well.
Right, and that's why groups like Independent Women's Forum exist. They actually created a platform called Champion Women, where we lift up women on both sides, conservative and liberal. And I think the more we can do that, and also maybe take a lesson from Melania Trump and stand up to ourselves when we do face comments like what we heard from Anna Wintour, I think that sets a good example to tell the media that, hey, we exist, we're here, and we're not going anywhere.
Also very frustrating, because Melania is the architect of this Be Best campaign, and she is doing really important things when it comes to social media bullying, when it comes to children and combating that, the opioid crisis. So these are things that you would think women out there who are in leadership positions would want to acknowledge and pay tribute to, and yet because it's Donald Trump's wife and she is First Lady, that somehow gets ignored or belittled.
Right, and not to mention, this is a former supermodel who knows what it's like in the fashion industry, and that's why I think her comments in regard to what Anna Wintour said are so interesting and honest, because she has been in this industry. She's been on the cover. She said, been there, done that. I don't need these magazine covers anymore, because she knows what she's doing as First Lady of the United States. The example she is setting is far more important. She's making a difference in people's lives regarding the opioid crisis, regarding bullying. She is helping children. She is doing amazing things on behalf of Americans, and that's far more important than being on the cover of any magazine.
Kelsey, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Thanks.